My 2-year-old did that one time, and I whooped its ass and put it back in bed.
So, let's talk about Survivor Thailand. Now, unlike Marquesas, this one didn't have a rush production behind it, and it was released on time for the September 2002 season. A pity that nothing else went swimmingly when it comes to this shit season, but like always, I got a checklist to follow for the reviews, so let's get into it. So Thailand takes 16 people from all different walks of life and dumps them on an island for 39 days where they compete against the elements, wildlife, and each other, until one of them remains and takes home the prize. Like I said previously, the concept still works well after all this time, and the production is, mostly, better than in Marquesas. The challenges are a good example of this, although it does have a couple dumb ones like whoever's underwater the longest wins, or a challenge based on the Tower of Hanoi puzzle. But those are few and far between this season when compared to some really solid challenge ideas, like remembering 4 types of fish and sorting them into separate bins, or Jailbreak, where they have to construct a pole out of nearby scraps and use that to get the keys to their cell. So the challenges did get an improvement over the last season.
Editor's note. I forgot to talk about this in the script, but there's one bit of the challenges I want to talk about real quick because it still pisses me off. So in Pilfering Pirates from episode 3, they're explicitly told, do not fight outside of the black tape known as the attack zone, or else you're disqualified and their team loses a point. Want to guess how long it takes for the contestants to completely ignore this? Time's up, less than a couple of minutes.
Guys, I'm like a broken record.
You know, people say that we've gotten dumber over the years because of social media and shit, and personally, no, we were always this dumb because remember, this was 2002. Anyways, back to the character.
Did the issue I had with the Yinlo Nations last season get fixed? Nope. John got voted off for an unfunny joke. Like, bruh, that's so moronic. Oh, sorry. Clearly I should have taken for Gandhia's book when it came to insults.
Retards?
Yeah, you can tell this was a product of the time. Anyways, on to more stupid eliminations. Tanya got voted off because she got sick on the first day or so in the game, despite being well liked by the tribe and getting healthier afterwards. Yet they kept Clay's racist. Oh, almost jumped the gun a bit on that one. Oh, don't worry. I'll save my rant on that piece of work for later. Stephanie's another instance of the reasoning being stupid since it was due to small mistakes she made in her first week, despite being eliminated on day 15. Really scraping the bottom of the barrel on that one, aren't you? Erin's elimination felt fucking random since there was no indication she did anything wrong. Like, what the fuck did she do? Breathe diagonally or something? Also, despite planning on voting for Clay, Ted got a near unanimous vote, and one of them was by his ally Helen. What the fuck? Oh, and speaking of Ted, I should probably address a certain elephant in the room about this season. I want to say that for before talking about the contestants because I'll have a lot to say on that moment in particular. But let's talk about innovations this season made. First season have a mutiny option? Sure, no one took Jeff up on that offer, but it was a neat idea at least. Fake merge was a decent idea. First season implement the GOAT strategy, where a challenge winner takes the least likable person to the end with them, which nearly backfired, but it was the first season to implement it at least. And that's about it for innovations. Now let's talk about that elephant. So, in episode 3, Ted grinds up on Gandia and tries to hook up with her basically. Gandia doesn't take too kindly to this for obvious reasons and calls his ass out. He apologizes and claims that he mistook her for his wife. Pretty fucking stupid still, but whatever. Fine. Then, we see Ted heavily downplay and deny what happened when talking to Brian, and Gandia gets, rightfully, pissed off. And yet, not only does the editing paint Gandia is in the wrong, she gets isolated by the rest of her tribe, and then voted out the next episode. What the absolute fuck? Oh, and even better, Ted gets to the final 5, and the show plays off the incident as nothing major. I fucking hate it here.
Well, for the first time, I have a vote. I have no idea who it belongs to. Who wrote Bye Bye Denver Diva? No.
So, let's break this down. Grinding up on someone like what Ted did, and without consent, is sexual assault. Sure, he apologized for it, and Gandia seemed to have forgiven him for it at the time. If it had ended there, it'd be a case of Ted being a creep, but something he could theoretically learn from and be better throughout the season. But no. He had to open his fucking mouth, because he later told Brian that nothing happened, basically downplaying the act and also showing that his bitch ass wasn't sorry. So we have someone committing SA, and the production crew having evidence that Ted wasn't actually sorry about what happened. So why the fuck did this not get him kicked off the show? Oh, right, silly me. Because for the longest time, they didn't give a fuck about the contestants being groped, or SA'd, or harassed. Because, spoiler alert, it's not the last time this happened on Survivor. Say what you will about the new era, and it does have its issues, but they've taken steps to ensure something like what happened here with Gandia, or with Sue in All-Stars, or Kelly on Island of the Idols, and I'm sure there's plenty more I can fucking think of, doesn't happen again. This shit should have gotten Ted fucking pulled. But again, as we're seeing with this season, and with other seasons until the new era, they didn't give a fuck. Oh wait, I sound like I'm done. No, there's more to this situation. Because of fucking course there is. So remember Brian? Well, Mr. Virgin of Sherwood Forest decides not to ask Gandia for her side of the story, despite saying,
I wanted to sit back and hear both sides of the story.
And instead goes to Helen about Ted's comment. Fucking what? Oh, and by the way, don't get used to Brian going to Helen asking for clarifications / comments about things. He doesn't really do this ever again throughout the season. There's also this.
Gandia was making an issue that was very, very small that could have been handled in a very professional one-on-one manner.
Yeah, a professional manner. As if she was overreacting to being sexually assaulted. Like, holy fuck, the levels of gaslighting on this piece of shit's insane. It only really escalated because you opened your fucking mouth, Ted, and told Brian that nothing happened, treating it as not a fuck-up, but just a small hiccup. Unfucking believable, Ted. It's like the season takes a couple steps forward in terms of progress, and then 10,000 fucking steps backwards. Alright, let's get into my thoughts on the contestants. John. He was okay, but the reason for his elimination sucked balls. Oh, and speaking of sucking, he sucks as a person too, as he got convicted of child cruelty to 3 students via taping their mouths shut and placing his hand over the mouth of another child until they went limp. You know, it usually takes a few entries before we get into the people who were garbage outside the game. This being the first one, that's an ominous fucking sign. Tanya was also just fine. She had decent chemistry with her tribe, though the reason for her elimination success, as I went over earlier. But at the very least, she doesn't have a criminal record unlike John, so there's that. Jed was annoying, and his dumbass somehow lost the tribe the fucking fishing net. However, it is nice to see that he's doing well since the show, getting married to his now wife and having 2 kids with her. Wholesome stuff. Hell, he even has his dental office logo themed after the Survivor logo, so that's a cool addition. So yeah, didn't like him as a contestant, but glad to see that he's doing well since the season ended. Gandia was one of the few highlights of the season, and even then, she was treated fucking terribly. She didn't put up with anyone's shit, had good chemistry with her tribe prior to the incident with Ted, and was good at challenges. Put simply, she was fucking robbed. Stephanie was a nothing burger, like, what the fuck did you even do again on the show? Rob. Cheyenne was also very forgettable. Social game sucked, her chemistry was bad, and she really should have paid attention to just wording at the fake merge, forming potential plans with the other tribe. Why was she even invited back for All-Stars? I have no fucking idea. Still though, first Asian American to compete in American Survivor, so that's cool. Aaron. What did she do again? Ken was also incredibly forgettable. He was a physical competitor, sure, but that's all he had going for him personally speaking. Penny. Jake was another slight highlight of a bad cast, as he had good social game and chemistry, his challenge performance was fine, and he was incredibly likable. The only issue was that he couldn't do anything to stop his tribe from getting pagonged, but at the very least, he did get a good send-off. Ted. Helen was another slight highlight of a bad cast, as she didn't take people's shit for the most part, had really good chemistry and good social game. It's just a shame, however, that she got fucked over by Clay and Brian. But yeah, Helen was good. Jan was incredibly forgettable. Her social game and chemistry sucked, her challenge performance was dog shit, she barely did anything the entire fucking season. And yet, funny enough, she probably would have won the damn season if Brian took her to the end, because of how fucking despicable Brian and Clay were throughout the entire season. But yeah, in one alternate reality, we may have had a winner take home the title by basically doing nothing but be kinder than her opponent. Crazy stuff, eh? Clay. This man was a lazy, racist piece of shit that survived for way too damn long. He sucked in the challenges, his social game was hot ass, and his chemistry was fucking dog shit. Easily one of the worst fucking players of the original era. Now, I'd normally drop a rest in peace to contestants who ended up passing away, and I fucking shouldn't do it in the case of this piece of shit. However, losing his wife of 46 years from COVID and then dying months later from a short illness still sucks. So I will say rest in peace. And if there is an afterlife, hopefully he's using that time to unlearn all those nasty habits while also being with his wife and family. And now that leaves us with the winner of the season, Brian Heidick. Much like Clay, he was a lazy, misogynistic, potentially racist piece of garbage that survived for way too damn long.
Well, I think that's just the natural transition in life. Ladies in the kitchen and the men take care of business and do all the fishing.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut up! Shut up!
Sure, He was great in challenges and intelligent for the most part. But what good is that when everything else about Brian was hot garbage? I already talked about the situation with Gandia and Ted and how Brian's part of that was shit, but that wasn't even the last time he didn't do the smart thing here. So his excuse for taking out Helen at Final Four, which we had no idea about until Final Travel by the way, was that he saw Ted and Helen talking and writing stuff in the sand, and he assumed that it was a plan to take him out.
There was a picking order that you were scheming with Ted. That was told to me through Jan, because I felt you were trying to take me out next.
So instead of just asking Helen about it when they were planning to get Ted out in Final 5, he just assumed she betrayed his ass and lies to her face at Final 4 about her being safe, when in reality, he was one of the people that sent her ass home. And sure, maybe there would have been a scenario in which Brian confronts Helen and Helen just lied to him. He should have just told Helen at Final 4 that she was going home since that was part of their Alliance House partnership. Let the other know if they were going home that night. Brian almost lost the game because despite being portrayed as the uber special mastermind of the season, he was a fucking dumbass on 2 occasions. Sure, he invented the strategy of taking the unpopular person to the end in American Survivor, but his strategy nearly fucking backfired because he couldn't bother to be honest to Ken or Aaron when answering their questions. He only won by 1 vote, meaning that another misogynistic piece of shit would have won the season over the other one if Brian was even worse at his jury management / answering their questions. And then there's also the fact that outside of the game, he shot a fucking puppy with a bow and arrow. So yeah, Brian's game was hot dog shit and easily my least favorite winner of the original era. So yeah, the cast of this season mostly sucked ass, and while the production did improve slightly since Marquesas, that doesn't really mean much in my eyes when the main cast of the show is focused around are about as likable as fucking tap water. So yeah, another season I never saw until now, but now that I have seen it, I'd like to forget about its existence. But now that just leaves Survivor the Amazon for the seasons I haven't seen to completion yet. Hopefully that one will be fucking decent, because I don't want to go through this shit again. At least not for a while. But until then, I'm David Grimm, and thank you for watching.